What is up, everybody? In this video, I'm going over this upcoming UFC fight card, Rozenstruik versus Almeida. I'm giving you my top 6 picks for your Reignmaker contest. Let's do this damn thing. Alright guys, first thing I like to do when I am strategizing my Reignmaker contest and DFS, they both go hand in hand. I like to look at 3 variables here. I have the guide pulled up in front of me. I have all the numbers that are important to breaking down these variables. Variable number 1 is how many fights are on this actual fight card. Here we have 12. That's on the smaller side. 13 is average. Anything below 13 is on the smaller side. Anything above 13 is on the larger side. That's important because the smaller the fight card is, the less amount of fights there are, the less chances for the opportunity for fighters to score above 100 points, just because of the numbers, because there's less fighters, less opportunities for 100 plus point scorers. So here we have 12, smaller fight card. That's telling us that it's going to be a smaller, lower scoring optimal lineup here. That's one factor. Factor number 2 is how many moderate to heavy favorites are in this fight card. And in this fight card, there are 6. The way I weigh that is any 2-to-1 favorite or above, or if you're looking at implied probability, percentage-wise, anything above around a 66 to 67%. That's about a 2-to-1. So in that number range there. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ji Yeon Kim, I don't consider her because number 1, it's 65.3, so that's below the 66 cutoff line. And also, yes, concrete numbers, but also it's a women's MMA, and they do tend to be a bit unpredictable there. And that's important because that's gonna dictate where our points are going to be coming from, our efficient points, right? We're playing Reignmakers here. There's no salary cap. We're using our own capital, so we want to be efficient with that capital. So what does that tell us? That there's half of the fighters are moderate to heavy. It's telling us that the range of underdogs is pretty low. Well, actually here it's average because half of them are live underdogs. Any 2-to-1 underdog or better are live underdogs. So that just shows us that it's about average of the underdogs that we're going to be able to choose from. And this leads us into our third factor, is where the ITD lines stand. Not just the ITD line for the fight, but also the ITD line for the particular fighters. And in here, the ITD line is about average. It's not too heavy and it's not too light here. But one thing to really point out here is that the ITD lines for the fighters is really top heavy here. As you can see, the equity is all up here with these top 4 fighters, and we have some here with that Walker and Smith fight. Otherwise, it's only with Levy, Oberg, Williams, and Almeida. I'll get to that in a bit when I get to the fights that I'm picking for. So throwing all those 3 variables into play, 12 fight cards, lower scoring optimal fight, not many live underdogs to choose from. ITT line's about average, but it is top heavy. So what I'm thinking, I'm not trying to go too much for ceiling fights. I'm not trying to risk it for the biscuit too much, as there's not that much fighters that fit that role in this fight card. But I feel like this fight card, it's going to be worth it to pay up for those ITD top heavy fighters here. I say that because not only are they ITD top heavy, but the only wrestlers here, which I like to look at too as a variable, is how many wrestlers, because we all know wrestlers do tend to score a good amount of points. Those ITD lines, equity do happen to have the 3 damn wrestlers that are on this fight card here. All right, guys, with all those factors into consideration, number 1 pick here is Jailton Almeida. We're going to start at the top. Number 1, he is a wrestler. He has that wrestling upside. When he wins, he scores a lot of points here. He does have the highest ITD line in the fight total. Also, and for his particular fighter at 77%, he is the main event, but it's a 91.67% implied probability that the fight's gonna finish inside the distance. So we're gonna treat this just like a 3 round fight. That extra 2 rounds is gonna be non-existent here. Okay, our second fighter here is Carl Williams. He's also has that takedown upside. He has a pretty decent ITD line for the total fight at 61.54. His ITD fighter line is 51.22. We like those numbers within themselves, but the cool thing about Carl Williams is he's fighting Chase Sherman, who has a 50% takedown defense. So we're looking at takedown city if he doesn't get the knockout, safe both ways. So I like Carl Williams as my second pick here. Third pick here is the great Carlos Oberg. I'm personally a fan of him. He's from that city kickboxing camp out in New Zealand with Izzy and Volkanovski and all those greats. Very good camp specifically for striking here. His no, he doesn't have that takedown upside, but he has that beautiful kickboxing upside, knockout upside. His ITD line is at 81.82%. His particular ITD fighter line is at 71.43%, making him the second highest ITD fighter line on the whole damn fight card here. Let's go, Carlos Oberg. Okay, fourth pick here is Nathan Levy. He has that wrestling upside. His ITD lines are good here. Like I said before, all that ITD equity is top heavy here. His ITD line 69%. Hey, his ITD fighter line 53%. Hey, not really hey, but 53 pretty good. A cool thing about this fight too, which also makes it a bit volatile, so it might not be cool after all. Pete Rodriguez, he hasn't gone past, well, all his wins hasn't gone past the first round. Actually, he's never gone past first round, as it says here in my notes. So that could go two ways. He could knock out Levy in the first damn round, which would not be cool, man. But if this fight gets extended beyond the first round, if Nathan Levy fights a smart fight and extends this past the first round, we often see fighters who don't have that beyond first round experience just totally get exposed in the second and third rounds. So what that could mean is Nathan Levy is going to take down City here, which is going to be good for us. All right, for my fifth and sixth pick, I like these guys because I want to take a shot at these underdog range. As you all know, we want to spend our money efficiently here, and we're also trying to get different. We're not trying to go just top 5 fighters here because number one, that's not an efficient way to spend our money, and number two, the likelihood of us getting duplicated and sharing our riches is increased greatly. But in this case, I do like the top heavy here because, as I said, all the ITD line equity is at the top here. But let's take some shots down here. For rare contests, I do like these value picks here because, or the ones I'm about to say, because it saves you money and it gets you different here. Because as we all know, we need 2 rare cards, so we can save money with those rare cards by picking these fighters. And then our core fighters could be those top dogs up there. Number 1, Anthony Smith. I like him here because he's a veteran, he's a dog, and I always like betting on Anthony Smith, especially when it's like upper tier fighters like Johnny Walker. He is on a streak here. He does have momentum behind his side, but I do like fighters like Anthony Smith to stop that momentum. He's a veteran, a reliable guy. You know he's gonna go down on his shield. He has a 40% ITD line here. The ITD for the total fight is 80%, so that's pretty ridiculous there. It's a toss-up here between him and Johnny Walker, and he is pretty cheaper than Anthony Walker. Johnny Walker. Anthony Smith is $350 right now. His rare card's $350. Johnny Walker's at $5. So you could save some money with Anthony Smith, and that's why I like Anthony Smith as my 5th pick. And my 6th and final pick is Douglas Silva de Andrade. You can save money here. His rare card is gonna cost you only $2.20 here, so he's pretty much at the bottom of the list. His uh, win odds isn't too bad. It's a 40%, so he's a very live dog here. He's an underdog, but a very live one here. And I like him because Cody Stamann, his inside ITD line for his particular fighter ITD line is only at 12.5%. He is not a finisher. A lot of his fights have gone by decision. A lot of his wins have been won by decision. So I like De Andrade because number one, he's gonna save you money. Number two, he's gonna get you different from the field. And number three, even if he loses, he's not gonna bust your lineup because if he loses, chances are he's gonna lose in a decision loss, which chances are good that he'll score anywhere between 20 and 30 points. Which, if you have that as your only loss and he scores 30 points, in this fight card, you might, and you other four fighters are optimal. They scored above 100 points as you pick those top dogs. You might still get a top 5 spot if that's not too far fetched here. That's why I like a fighter like Douglas Silva de Andrade. One last thing I want to leave you guys with before we say goodbye. I'm not going to be building too many lineups since I'm going to be going top heavy and picking these upper tier fighters. As we all know, if you've been following this channel, I've been downloading the ownership percentages, and the core lineups tend to avoid these top. They tend to be under owned. The top fighters in core lineups, those tend to go to the rare lineups. So I'm gonna go with the core this week. I'll probably throw a rare lineup here that is more heavy with the underdogs and that Johnny Walker and Anthony Smith fight. But since I'm gonna be sticking with these guys, I'm gonna go low volume, core for sure, core one, and maybe let's see how much money this is costing me, because again, we're at about a $460 bankroll here, and I usually want to tend to stick around to 10%. So anywhere between 40 and 50 bucks is the price range I want to spend here. Just a little bit of strategy here, a little bit of tips before I go on and build these lineups for this upcoming fight card. I am done.